how to deal with old people. And I tell you, I want this video to be as natural as possible with very little editing involved, because I want to just talk to you about some of my experiences, tell you some of my stories, but also tell you kind of my perspective on dealing with old people, because it can be a challenge sometimes, okay? But I've got 5 points here jotted down. We're going to go over them, and I'll tell you kind of pros and cons and some of the approaches of how I deal with old people. Today's video is sponsored by Yardbook. I have been with Yardbook since 2015, and I have people text me today about Yardbook. I said, I love Yardbook. It's easy to use. And so if you are looking for a user-friendly software that continues to improve and get better, then you want to go to yardbook.com and sign up for a free account. So I got a few stories to share here. The key word here is balance, I think. And you think about that because some customers, whether old or not, but in this particular video we're talking about older customers, can really push you to the limits. Okay, I always say there's a fine line between customer service, outstanding customer service, which I think is a good thing, and letting the customers run your business, which is a terrible thing. And one of my rules of business basically is that we want to stay in control of our own business. You didn't start a lawn business so that you can have everybody else telling you what to do. So that's tip number one, is find the balance. So what I mean by that is this. I mean, I'm not opposed to taking on an old customer, and I understand there may be some challenges to it. We're going to talk about some of those challenges, but I don't want to just say, well, you're old, so you can just treat me like trash or dominate my schedule or talk to me for an hour and a half while I'm at your, there has to be some limitations here. So you got to find that balance. Let me give you a story. So I had an older gentleman that was a customer. I still picture this yard in my head. I believe he was 92. Okay, so that's old by most anybody's account. And I would go, he had a tiny little yard, little garden home. I'd go, I'd try to talk to him when I'd spray his yard. He'd be watching baseball. I'd ask him about baseball. Whatever. I just tried to make small talk. It was usually brief. He was one of them that I'd go spray the yard. He wanted to pay me right at the end, write a check. Well, I remember one time, I've been doing his yard maybe a year and a half. I remember one time I went, he asked me about putting up a birdhouse for him. I think I went and put a birdhouse up for him. So everything was going good. Everything was going fine. It was a little bit more time consuming. It wasn't just spray the yard and go like some people. But I remember one day I went to spray his yard. I live in Alabama. We spray yards, start spraying in early January to get my pre-emergent down. You're usually going to try to get it down before we get into March, because by then sometimes the crabgrass already started germinating. Well, I went to spray his yard in January or February, I imagine, and sprayed it, and I go knock on the door, and he was furious. And he said, "I told you don't come to my yard before March." Well, I don't remember him telling me that. If he did, if he had told me that, I'd say, well, thank you for your service, but or your business, rather, my service, his business. But I said, I can't. I'm not taking on that yard. It won't let me come till March, because by March, the crabgrass already germinated. And so I can't put a pre-emergent down before the crabgrass germinates, not just crabgrass, a lot of other weeds as well. Then, I'm behind the 8 ball before I start. So, he's old, but I'm sorry. You kind of violated that rule number 1 of my business, that you can't run my business for me. So you can't dictate the schedule. If you're mowing grass, that means like you can't say, if you mow weekly, then they say, well, I want every 10 days. I'm sorry, we mow weekly. Weekly and whatever. You can't let them dictate your schedule, even if they're old. So find the balance. Deal with them, but don't let them dominate you. All right, point number 2. It's more of a thought than a tip, but old people can be some of your best customers and some of your worst customers. I no doubt some of the old people have been some of my worst customers. I guess those are the ones that stick out in my mind. I think of this one lady, I've shared this before, but this one I was mowing grass, and almost every single time we go mow her grass, we were bagging her lawn, picking up twigs. She would leave a full page, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper taped on the door, telling us what we did wrong the past time and what we should do right this time. Why I put up with that, I don't know. And to this day, it bothers me. This has probably been 14 years ago, but it bothers me that she was able to fire me before I could fire her. And one of the dumbest things I ever did, I had her on like a year-round payment plan where basically she was getting a discount all summer long and then to pay me through the winter. That was not smart on my part. And so when she fired me as we were going into the fall season, basically she got like a really, really cheap price all through the summer. So that was horrible on a number of ends, but putting up with it. So anyway, they can be some of your best customers too, you know. And that's what I want you to hear about this video. I don't want this to be all a negative video. Let me just say it this way. I think sometimes as you're self-employed and lawn care is no different. You know, I wake up and I'm out there thinking, all right, how can I make the most money today and get my work done? Well, that's not exactly the healthy mindset I'm going for every day. And so I think it's okay to have an old person who wants to talk for a little bit. I have no problem with that at all, okay? But again, you got to find that balance. So just understand that some old people are extremely nice and extremely kind and maybe a little bit on the lonely side. Others are extremely unkind, and maybe they've been that way their whole life. Maybe they turned into that when they got old. I don't know, but I don't think you have to tolerate that. But I think you do show them a little bit more patience. I would hope somebody would do that to me as I get older. Number 3 is tip of the day here, and this is, we mentioned here, but they may talk more to you. And I'm just going to tell you that that's okay. Now again, we can't have an hour and a half conversation. We might not can even have a 10-minute conversation every time. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. But I've got several customers that come to my mind here in a situation. I mean, I'm thinking of a lady who lost her husband. I'm thinking of a man who lost a younger relative and lives by himself and just doesn't have people to talk to. And there's people that probably days go by without actually interacting with a human. So to me, I'm okay talking to them because, again, it helps get me out of that mindset that the only reason I woke up this morning was to try to maximize the amount of money I can make today. That's not the only reason I wake up. And so it's okay for me to stop what I'm doing and talk to somebody and engage them as a human. You know, at the end of the day, we are part of the community if you're a small business owner, and old people are part of the community. And that's a part that may not be as profitable. And as long as there's a balance there, I think you can engage them, you can visit with them, and probably one of the more meaningful things I can do throughout the day is to have a conversation with them. But again, I got to put a little bit of a limit on it. Number 4, their payment options. You know, another thing to be aware of, that old people like to write a check, you know, and you can get frustrated with that and say, oh, why they write a check? And then if the check's late, or I've got some old people and their handwriting has gotten so bad that sometimes it's just hard to make it out. And you think, well, it'd be easier if you just pay with a credit card. Well, I think a couple things here. One, I would prefer they not write a check in those situations, but I do have people that pay for the year up front, and I actually prefer for them to write a check because they give them a 5% discount. And I don't really want to give them a 3% more to the credit card. You know, I'll be down 8%. So I would try to push them. If they don't want to write checks, that is great. I love that. You know, what about a prepay option? I know some of them would be interested in doing that. A lot of them do that. So if you can get them to prepay and write you one check, then that's a lot better than all the checks you're going to have to deal with throughout the year. So you have to kind of make that decision. I know some people just want to go straight paperless, no checks, no anything. It's all credit card, email, everything. You know, you got customers that don't even have email, or don't check it, or don't know how to use it. I'm personally okay with that because I realize that it's a very small minority of my customer base, and it should get smaller and smaller as time goes by. It's just their generation that didn't grow up with email, and even, I don't know when credit cards became popular, but they're far more popular now than they were when they were younger. So it's just, you know, that's just part of it, and I'm okay with that. Again, you got to make that decision on your own. Am I going just so hardcore that I'm not going to make an exception for this old person? For me, I've got, you know, I'm going to say 6 people that write me a paper check, you know, and that I'm saying on a regular basis. Maybe it's 10, I don't know, but it's not many. It's a small amount. of my business. So that's not a big deal in my opinion. The fifth one, this one I think you gotta be a little bit careful with, is the price negotiating. You know, I don't mind helping people out, okay, but I don't want to help them out too much, you know, because my theory is, again, I want to help people out, but you can't help people out if your business is struggling. I mean, it makes it hard, okay? So you need to be successful as a business owner so that you're able to help somebody out. And I think that's great. I think it's great to help them out if you want to help out an old person, but you've probably seen this situation where an old person wants to act like they don't have any money, and they're living in a very nice house, and they pull up in a very nice automobile, you know, and it's like, huh, you know, I mean, money, huh? And you just, I understand they might be retired, they may not have as much income coming in, but how am I not to know that they got $10 million sitting in the bank somewhere? I mean, they don't look like they're like just getting by the lifestyle I'm perceiving. So sometimes they just might use that in a way to say, well, I'm on a fixed income. I was like, yeah, you're on a fixed income, but your fixed income is way more than most people's fixed income is what I want to tell them. Of course, I don't say it that way. But I'm thinking this one lady that comes to mind. She lives in a very nice house, nice car, everything seems nice, but she's constantly talking to me about the money. You know, I don't know. Well, I remember when I first got her, and this was a mistake, I had some mowing crew that was out there mowing her yard, and they told me, they said, you know, she can only afford $60 a month. That's what she can afford, $60 per treatment, rather. And so I priced it at $60. Okay, $60. Well, that was a mistake. She's got at least 3 different grass types in her yard: centipede, zoysia, Bermuda. That's the only flavors I can think of now. There may be something else mixed in there, but at least those. And I'm not talking about just a little bitty patch here, a little patch there. It's just like big blend of centipede in with the Bermuda, which is a pain if you understand that from a lawn care perspective, from a spraying perspective. And almost every single year she calls me and tells me how unsatisfied she is. Now, she's not rude about it per se, but I don't personally remember ever making one complimentary statement about the yard. I think I was doing her yard for about 5 years. And I explained to her over and over again. I said, ma'am, you try to understand something. She'd tell me all about the glory days when she had a zoysia yard. And her zoysia yard used to look so pretty. You know, I was like, yeah, that would be great. But right now you got a zoysia / centipede / Bermuda smorgasbord here that's got everything. It's a salad bowl. She should tell me that every year, call and complain. I said, listen, here's the deal. If I treat your yard like a centipede yard, because it's got a lot of centipede, blended in with your Bermuda, not just like centipede over here, Bermuda over here, I just blend it all in. If I treat it like a centipede yard, which is more sensitive than Bermuda, you're gonna have weeds in your yard. If I treat it like a Bermuda yard, I'm gonna beat your centipede up and it might be yellow until about April. So neither of those are good options. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't even deal with centipede in my area because there's not a lot of centipede grass and it's just a little bit of a pain. You know, so I explained that to her and she's like, okay. But it happens almost every single year. And she called, I got weed, it'd be spring. I said, well, I know, I realize it's March and you got some weeds in your yard. If I come out there and spray it, I can kill those weeds. But your centipede yard's gonna turn yellow and it's not gonna look good. And it's not gonna be yellow for 2 days. It's gonna be yellow for a while. So I'm not gonna do it. So I explained the same conversation. And then I was doing 6 treatments a year, which was what I do on centipede yard. Basically treat her yard like a centipede yard. And she told me, I thought it was 4 treatments. Why, you know, can we do less treatments? And so actually this past winter, she was talking about going to 4 treatments, and I called her up and I said, you know what, I tell you what I'm gonna do. And I was very kind, and she accepted it without any argument, which was great. I gave her credit for that. But I said, I'm cutting back on some of my mixed turf yards and centipede yards, and I believe I'm gonna let you go. I said, I'm gonna let you have your last treatment for free. Don't worry about paying me for that one. But next year I won't be taking care of your yard. And she accepted that, and I gave her the name of a few companies that might want to do it. But in my mind, and I did finally go up on it from 60 to 65, which was still well below what it should have cost. Probably an $80 yard, if in all honesty, maybe 75. But anyway, I just told her that, and I think she's probably going to end up with a more expensive company And I'm okay with that. I felt like I took care of her yard. I don't have any problem getting rid of her. And I'm not mad at her. I'm just saying at some point, if they complain every year, you know, that's okay. You know, I've only been doing your yard underpriced for the past 5 years and dealing with your complaints and callbacks. So why don't you move forward another person and see how many other people you can find to come deal with your triple grass lawn. All right, that was kind of my tips, my thoughts, the moral of the story. I'm okay dealing with old people. I like dealing with old people. I like talking to old people. Some of my friends are old. But there's got to be a point there where you say, I know you're old, but I'm also a grown man here, and I'm running my business the best way I know how. And so just because you're old, you can't dominate my business for me, because I don't care how old you are. I've got to stay in control of my business, or it's going to drive me crazy. I want to mention the 2024 Lawn Care Life Conference. This thing is shaping up to be great, to be honest with you. I'm just thankful, I guess would be the word. We've got great speakers. So we got Naylor Taliaferro, Caleb Brittany Allman, Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut, Paul Jameson, myself. We got Jeremiah Jennings coming. So Jeremy Best is a social media guru kind of guy. So really excited about that. But then also the sponsors have just been jumping on board because the signups are going great. And so we've got Milwaukee Tools giving away a bunch of tools. We've got Crest, they make battery powered equipment, robot mowers. They're coming as a sponsor, bringing equipment. We got Exmark as a sponsor, bringing equipment. We got Ferris coming, bringing equipment. This thing is going great. The landscaping bookkeeper, Megan and Joey Coberly, are coming as a sponsor. Trying to think if I'm leaving anybody out, and I'm probably, Yardbook. This video is sponsored by Yardbook is sponsoring the conference too. So anyway, just got a lot of sponsors. It's a Friday night, Saturday. It's February 23rd and 24th. If you hadn't seen it yet, go to lawncarelife.com, and there's a link at the top of the page that says conference. You'll click on that link. I believe it's $229 to register. That's your Friday night and Saturday. Include your meals. We've got an after party after the speaker on Friday night. We've got a taco dinner on Friday night, you know, Mexican kind of style dinner. We'll feed you breakfast and lunch on Saturday. We've got a lot of prizes. Exmark's giving away a Exmark Commercial 30 push mower. I think it's $2,599 value. A lot of Milwaukee tools to be given away. And just looking forward to a family style atmosphere. This is the 4th time we've done it, but the first time I've done it since January 2020. So it's been a while since the Lawn Care Life Conference has happened, but back, and looks like it's going to be the biggest and best one we've had. Hopefully you can sign up, and just to help you out a little bit, you can use the code 2024. Just put 2024 in there as the numbers and the promo code, and that will save you 10%. So it's $229. Put that in and save 10%. And also, if more than one person signs up at a time, so if you sign up for 2 or more people, you'll save an additional 10%. You can actually do both those at the same time. So that'll automatically happen when you go to buy your tickets. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a comment for me. I've got a lot of video ideas that I'm planning on doing when it cranks up. It's a little bit cold at the time of this video, but I'm about to start cranking out some content when the grass starts turning green. I've got some good ideas. Excited about YouTube for 2024. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Okay, hold on. Daddy will be out there in just a minute. I'm doing a video. Let me finish my video, okay?